Hare Krishna, this is Madhavananda Das, your spiritual guide and well-wisher. From today, we are going to begin a very special series on Kaveri Vaibhavam, the divine spiritual glories of one of the most sacred of the holy rivers, River Kaveri. Before we begin today's session, I shall chant a few prayers. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Prasida Kalyana Gunabhirame Prasida Kaveri Mama Prasida Prasida Kamadi Hare Pavitre Kaveri Mama Prasida. Hare Krishna, I would like to welcome all the viewers for this special series on Kaveri Vaibhavam, where we shall try to understand the wonderful divine spiritual glories of Mother Kaveri. Kaveri is glorified as Kaveri Amma or Kaveri Mata, the divine mother who nourishes, who purifies and delivers everyone who comes in contact with her divine waters. Kaveri is one of the most sacred holy rivers, also one among the 7 most sacred rivers mentioned in the Vedic scriptures. Actually, River Kaveri is mentioned and glorified in all the Vedic scriptures, including the principal Vedic scriptures like the Rig Veda, in the Upanishads, in all the 18 Mahapuranas, and the most important of all the Vedic scriptures, which is Srimad Bhagavatam. River Kaveri is also extensively mentioned and glorified in the great Itihasas, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. So in this session, we shall try to understand the spiritual significance of Mother Kaveri, the divine identity, and the most secret divine revelation of the spiritual identity of Mother Kaveri, the meaning of Kaveri, the origin of Kaveri as per the Vedic scriptures. We shall also try to understand the most important time to take shelter and bath in Mother Kaveri, which is mentioned as the Tula Masa. We shall also try to cover many wonderful prayers to River Kaveri, and also have a brief session on the various holy places located on the banks of the flow of River Kaveri. Since time immemorial, millions and innumerable people, especially the spiritualists, the great sages, many exalted personalities have come to the banks of River Kaveri and taken her shelter and derived immense spiritual as well as material benefit. So let us now, without any further delay, dive into the wonderful nectarian transcendental glories of River Kaveri. So as I mentioned earlier, the Vedic scriptures mention that there are 7 most sacred holy rivers which have divine and celestial origin. They are mentioned in all the Vedic Snana mantras as Gange cha Yamune chaiva Godavari Saraswati Narmada Sindhu Kaveri Jalesmin Sannidhim Kuru. So the 7 great and the most sacred rivers are Ganga, Yamuna, Godavari, Saraswati, Narmada, Sindhu and Kaveri. Kaveri river flows in the southern part of India, and Kaveri is also mentioned in all the Puranas, and even in the Skanda Purana, in the Vaishnava Khanda, in Vaishakha Masa Mahatmya, in chapter 4, text number 14 and 15, it is mentioned to be one among the Sapta Gangas. So it is mentioned here that Kuryad Ushasi Yasnanam Sapta Ganga Sumanavaha, that any human being who takes bath, especially Ushasi, in the early morning in Sapta Ganga, in the 7 great rivers which are equivalent to river Ganga, Koti Janmarjitat Papat Muchyate Natra Samshayaha, they are freed from the sinful reactions of crores of lifetimes, and this is without any doubt. So which are the 7 Gangas, the Sapta Ganga mentioned in the Vaishakha Masa Mahatmya of the Vaishnava Khanda of Skanda Purana? They are mentioned here as Jahnavi Vriddha Ganga cha Kalindi cha Saraswati Kaveri Narmada Veni Sapta Ganga Prakirtitaha. So these are the Sapta Ganga, or the 7 Gangas mentioned in the Vedic scriptures. Jahnavi, which is Ganga, Vriddha Ganga, Kalindi is Yamuna, Saraswati, Kaveri, Narmada, and Veni. Veni is Krishna Veni river. So in this way, there is extensive glorification of Mother Kaveri in all the Vedic scriptures. Before we begin the Vedic and the spiritual significance of Mother Kaveri, let us try to understand some information about the wonderful flow of river Kaveri. The origin of river Kaveri is at a place called Talakaveri in Kodagu district, or the Coorg district in Karnataka, in southern Karnataka. This place called Talakaveri is located on the slopes of the hill by name Brahmagiri. Talakaveri is located 1341, approximately 4,000 feet above sea level. It takes birth in the hill range known as the Sahyadri Parvata, which is today known as the Western Ghats. So Sahyadri Parvata is also very extensively and elaborately explained in the Sahyadri Mahatmya of the Skanda Purana. The total length of the flow of river Kaveri is 805 kilometers, and taking birth from the Sahyadri Parvata, from Brahmagiri at Talakaveri, river Kaveri flows for 805 kilometers and finally joins the Bay of Bengal in the state of Tamil Nadu at a place called Pumpuhar. And the Bay of Bengal in the Vedic literatures is mentioned as Mahodadhi. Mahodadhi is the original and the ancient name of the sea of the Bay of Bengal. The total catchment area of the Kaveri basin is approximately 81,155 square kilometers, or 31,334 square miles. There are many tributaries which come and join the main course of river Kaveri, like Harangi, Hemavati, Kabini, Bhavani, Lakshmana Tirtha, Arkavati, Shimsha, Noyal. There are many sub-tributaries as well, like Palar, Chinnar, Toppar. So the river Kaveri is a very special river. There are 5 Triveni Sangamas, or the confluence of 3 sacred holy rivers in the course of the flow of Kaveri. Yes, you heard me right. There are 5 Triveni Sangamas, or there are 5 places in the course of the flow of river Kaveri where is the confluence, the Sangama of 3 sacred rivers. So they are the first Triveni Sangama in the flow of river Kaveri is just 8 kilometers from Talakaveri, the origin of river Kaveri, at a place called Bhagamandala, which is also known as the Bhaganda Rishi Kshetra, where Kaveri joins Kanaka and Sudha Jyoti rivers. They are also locally known as Kannike and Sujyoti. So Kaveri, Kannike and Sujyoti, or Kaveri, Kanaka and Sudha Jyoti. This Triveni Sangam is at Bhagamandala. The second Triveni Sangama in the flow of river Kaveri is at Tirumakudalu, Narasipura, or T. Narsipura in Mysore district, where there is the Sangam, the confluence of Kaveri with Kapila river, and the Guptagamini, the river that flows invisibly, which is known as Sphatika Sarovara. The third Triveni Sangama is at a village known as Sangapura in Keyarpet Taluk, and where Kaveri joins with Hemavati and Lakshmana Tirtha. Further, the fourth Triveni Sangama of river Kaveri is at Sangama near Srirangapatana, where Kaveri joins with Lokapavani and Hemavati. And the fifth Triveni Sangama is in the south of the city of Erode in Tamil Nadu, where there is a place called Kudutturai or Mukkudal. Mukkudal again means Triveni Sangama, just like Tirumakudala Narsipura, Tiruma Kudalu, the Sangam, the confluence of 3 sacred rivers. So in Erode at Mukkudal, there is the confluence of Kaveri, Bhavani and Amuda rivers. So there are 5 Triveni Sangamas in the course of the flow of river Kaveri. And before we further delve into the spiritual glories of river Kaveri, let us first try to understand the philosophical truth of the spiritual significance of great sacred holy rivers. Sometimes it may be a little surprising for people that how can water or rivers be sacred or holy. We can understand this from the teachings of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. In Bhagavad Gita chapter 9 text number 4, the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna says, Maya tatam idam sarvam jagad avyakta murtina matsthani sarva bhutani nachaham teshvavasthitaha. That the creation that we can see and experience all around us, the creation is there, and there is definitely a creator in the background of the creation. So for whatever created thing that we come across in this world, it is very logical, scientific and natural to understand that there is a creator behind any creation, behind any manifestation there is an origin, behind any effect there is a cause. So just like there is a connection between the creation and the creator, the manifestation and the origin, the effect and the cause, likewise. So the entire creation is ultimately connected with the supreme origin, the supreme creator, which is revealed in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita to be the supreme absolute truth, the Parabrahma, the Paramatma, the supreme personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna. The Bhagavad Gita very emphatically establishes that the supreme origin of everything is Bhagavan, is the supreme personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna. And just like the sun, although located in one place, is extensively becomes all pervading by the means of its energy, which is sunshine. Likewise, the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead Krishna, is all pervading by means of his divine energies. So, Maya tatam idam sarvam jagad avyakta murtina. Krishna says that by my unmanifest form, I pervade the entire creation. Just like the Supreme Personality of Godhead Bhagavan is the background of every manifestation of this creation. Behind every created thing, there is the hand, there is the intervention, there is the supreme creator behind it. Likewise, behind every physical manifestation, there is a divine personality. So, Divyati iti devaha. There are many celestial personalities like the Devatas. Sometimes there are directly the Supreme Lord, his expansions and his energies, or his eternal associates, who are the predominating deities behind some physical manifestations. So just like the Vedic scriptures explain that we can see the physical manifestation of the Himalayan mountains. In the background is Himavan, the personality by name Himavan. We can experience the direct physical manifestation of earth, but in the background is the personality called Bhudevi or Mother Earth. So in this way, even there are presiding deities of all the various sacred holy rivers like Ganga. There is Ganga Devi or Ganga Mata, and these personalities have a very, very intimate connection with the Supreme Lord, with the Supreme Absolute Truth, Shri Krishna, because of which we get connected to the Supreme Absolute Truth by taking shelter of these divine personalities. To give you a very simple example to comprehend and understand this principle of the relationship between the manifestation and the origin, or the creation and the creator, just like if we take the example of a very, very big businessman, say a business entity like the Reliance. So although Reliance may have many millions of products, maybe even mobile handsets, or even the retail, many products may be there, but all these products are compared to the energy or the manifestation. But behind all these manifestations is the energetic or the owner of the entire company, so Mr. Ambani. So likewise, the entire waters are presided over by Varuna Deva. Likewise, the rivers have their presiding deities, and therefore every drop of Mother Kaveri in the background is the divine personality of Kaveri Mata, Mother Kaveri, who is a very, very special personality with an intimate relationship and connection with the Supreme Lord, with the Supreme Absolute Truth, Shri Krishna. So now, before we proceed further, let us first try to understand the meaning of the word Kaveri. Kaveri literally means the daughter of Kavera. It also literally means the abode of the celestial Apsaras. Kaveri refers to a very special word consisting of 3 letters. The word Kaveri consists of 3 letters: Ka, Ve and Ri. And in the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, there is a very specific delineation of the significance of each of the letter of the word Kaveri. It is mentioned that Kakaro kalmasham hanti, Vekaro vanchita pradaha, Rikaro mokshado nrinam, Kaveri tyuchate budhaihi. The 3 letters of Kaveri, the first one, Kakaro kalmasham hanti. It completely eradicates all material sinful contamination. Kakaro kalmasham hanti. It eradicates all our material sinful reactions. Vekaro vanchita pradaha. The second letter Ve grants all benedictions to those who take shelter of Kaveri. Vekaro vanchita pradaha, Rikaro mokshado nrinam. And the final letter, the third letter, Rikaraha, grants the ultimate supreme goal of all the human beings, which is moksha or liberation from all material bondage. So Kaveri iti uchyate buddhaihi. The scriptures in this way very beautifully explain the significance of each of the letter of Kaveri. So today we shall further explore and understand the wonderful description of Mother Kaveri, of river Kaveri, as explained in the topmost of all the Vedic scriptures, which is Srimad Bhagavatam. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, in Canto 2, chapter 10, text number 29, it is mentioned that Samudra Nadyascha Tayo Tushtihi Pushtistadashraye. All the rivers of this world are part of the Virat Rupa of the universal form of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, and they are compared to the veins in the universal form of the Virat Rupa of the Supreme Lord. So further in the 5th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, in chapter 19, text number 17 and 18, there is the description of the various sacred holy rivers of this universe, where Kaveri is also mentioned. So Shukadeva Goswami, in the description of Jambu Dvipa, says that एतासामपो भारत्यः प्रजानामभिर एव पुनन्तीनाम् आत्मना चोपस्पृशन्ति चन्द्रवसा ताम्रपर्णी अवटोडा कृतमाला वैहायसी कावेरी वेणी पयस्विनी शर्कावर्ता तुंगभद्रा कृष्णा वेण्या भीमरथी गोदावरी निर्विंध्या पयोष्णी तापी रेवा सुरसा नर्मदा चर्मण्वती सिंधुर अंधः शोणश्च नदौ महानदी वेदस्मिते ऋषिकुल्या त्रिसामा कौशिकी मंदाकिनी यमुना सरस्वती दृषद्वती गोमती सरयू रोधस्वती सप्तवती सुषोमा शतद्रुश्चंद्रभागा मरुद्वृधा वितस्ता असिग्नि विश्वेति महानद्यः. So here Shukadeva Goswami in the 5th canto, chapter 19, text number 17 and 18 says that there are these great rivers which flow in Bharatavarsha. 2 of the rivers are the most prominent, which are Brahmaputra and Shona, and apart from that the very prominent rivers are Chandravasa, Tamraparni, Avatoda, Kritamala, Vaihayasi, Kaveri, and the list of names of the various holy rivers continues. So the inhabitants of Bharatavarsha are purified because they always remember these rivers. Sometimes they chant the names of these rivers as mantras, and sometimes they go directly to the rivers to touch them and bathe in them. Thus, the inhabitants of Bharatavarsha become purified. In the purport, the great Acharya Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual master, he explains that all these rivers are transcendental. Therefore, one can be purified by remembering them, touching them, or bathing in them. This practice is still going on. Further, in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 10, text number 16, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that the 5 sacred rivers in India, Ganga, Yamuna, Narmada, Kaveri, and Krishna, are all celestial. They have their origin in the celestial world, in the heavenly planets, and even further in the spiritual world, in the eternal kingdom of the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. In the 13th chapter of the 7th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a very interesting narration of Prahlada, one of the greatest exalted pure devotees of the Supreme Lord, traveling to the banks of river Kaveri and coming in contact with a very great personality who was a Paramahamsa. So this is explained in the 13th chapter of the 7th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam in the description of the various orders and ashramas of life, and the topmost ashrama, which is sannyasa ashrama, which again consists of 4 stages, and the highest stage is the Paramahamsa stage. In the description of the Paramahamsa, the topmost order of sannyasa, Narada Muni explains an ancient history of the visit of Prahlada to the banks of river Kaveri. So Narada Muni described a meeting between Prahlada and a saintly person who had adopted the life of a python. So this is known as Ajagara Vritti. So in this way he described the symptoms of a Paramahamsa. A person who has attained the Paramahamsa stage knows very well the distinction between matter and spirit. He is not at all interested in gratifying the material senses, for he is always deriving pleasure from the devotional service to the Lord. So in this way, Prahlada came and had a very intense spiritual conversation with this Paramahamsa who was on the banks of river Kaveri near the Sahyadri Parvata. So this is mentioned in 7.13.12 of the Srimad Bhagavatam that Prahlad Maharaj, the most dear servitor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, once went out touring the universe with some of his confidential associates just to study the nature of saintly persons. Thus he arrived on the bank of the Kaveri, where there was a mountain known as Sahya. There he found a great saintly person who was lying on the ground covered with dirt and dust, but who was deeply spiritually advanced. So this is mentioned in the 7th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam that Tam shayanam dharo pasthe kaveryam sahya sanuni rajasvalaistanu deshe nigudha malatejasam dadarsha vicharan lokatattva vivitsaya vrito matye katipayehi prahrado bhagavat priyaha. That while traveling all over the world, Prahlada came to Kaveryam Sahya Sanuni, to the river Kaveri on the slopes of the Sahya Parvata. Further, in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam in chapter 79, in text number 14, the river Kaveri is again mentioned to be one of the places visited by Lord Balarama during his pilgrimage, during his tour to the holy places. So it is mentioned that Kamakoshnim Purim Kanchim Kaverim cha Saridvaram Shrirangakhyam Mahapunyam Yatra Sannihito Harihi. Then Lord Balarama met Lord Skanda and visited Sri Shaila, the abode of Lord Girisha, in the southern provinces known as Dravida Desha. The Supreme Lord Balarama saw the sacred Venkata hill as well as the cities of Kamakoshni and Kanchi, and then he came to Kaverimcha Saridvaram. The Srimad Bhagavatam 10.79.14 glorifies Kaveri as Saridvaram, the best among the sacred holy rivers. So Lord Balarama came to river Kaveri and took bath there, and then he also visited the most sacred Sri Ranga Kshetra or Sri Rangam, where Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu is always manifest as Ranganatha. In the Srimad Bhagavatam in the 11th canto, in chapter 5, text number 38 to 40, there is a very wonderful glorification of river Kaveri, wherein it is mentioned that those who take shelter of river Kaveri, those who live on the banks of river Kaveri, who take bath in river Kaveri and who drink the waters of river Kaveri, they have a natural tendency to the devotional service of Lord Vasudeva Shri Krishna. So such is the spiritual potency of river Kaveri. It is mentioned that Kritadishu Pracharajan Kalavichanti Sambhavam Kalau Khalu Bhavishyanti Narayana Parayanaha Kvachit Kvachin Maharaja Dravideshu Cha Bhurishaha Tamrapagni Nadi Yatra Kritamala Payasvini Kaveri cha Mahapunya Pratichi cha Mahanadi Ye Pibanti Jalam Tasam Manuja Manujeshwara Prayo Bhakta Bhagavati Vasudevi Amalashyaha Ye Pibanti Jalam Tasam. Those who drink the waters of river Kaveri and some more of these rivers that are mentioned here, like Tamrapagni, Kritamala, Payasvini, Kaveri again. Whenever Kaveri is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is also mentioned with a very superlative adjective, like earlier in 10.79.14 as Kaveri cha Saridvaram, the best of the holy rivers. And likewise here in 11.5.40 as Kaveri cha Mahapunya, the most sacred river Kaveri. So the inhabitants of Satya Yuga and all the other ages eagerly desire to take birth in the most fallen age of Kali, because in this age there are many pure devotees of the Supreme Lord Narayana, and these devotees especially they appear in great number in Dravida Desha, which is South India, and in the age of Kali, people who drink the waters of the holy rivers of Dravida Desha, which are mentioned here as Tamrapagni, Kritamala, Payasvini, the extremely pious Kaveri and Mahanadi, will become pure-hearted devotees of the Supreme Lord Vasudeva. Prayo Bhakta Bhavishyanti Bhagavati Vasudeve Amalashyaha. So in this way, Kaveri is glorified very beautifully in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and there are many wonderful glories of river Kaveri. We shall continue our journey and our understanding of the spiritual significance of Mother Kaveri in the next session. Thank you very much. Please join us tomorrow for the continuation of Kaveri, Vaibhavam, the glories of river Kaveri. Please do subscribe and like this video. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Kaveri Maiya ki, Shri Radha Krishna Bhagavan ki Jai. Hare Krishna.